Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever wondered what doctors really think when they meet seniors who are living all by themselves? Let me tell you, it's not just about prescriptions, test results, or medical checkups. It's about the bigger picture, the life, the joy, and the future of those who often feel invisible. Doctors see things we don't. They notice the hidden struggles, but they also see the untapped strength. And if you're a senior living alone, or if you love someone who is, this message might just change the way you think about aging. Have you ever felt the weight of silence in an empty room? The kind of silence that doesn't just fill the space, but seems to press down on your chest. That's what loneliness feels like for so many seniors living alone, and what most people don't realize is that loneliness isn't just an emotion. It can be as dangerous as a disease. Doctors compare its impact on the body to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's not just a dramatic statement, it's a wake-up call. Loneliness doesn't just make people sad, it changes how the body works. It increases blood pressure, weakens the immune system, and even accelerates memory loss. Think about that for a moment. Something as invisible as isolation can quietly chip away at health in ways no one can see until it's too late. And the heartbreaking part, many seniors suffer silently, convincing themselves they're fine, because they don't want to burden anyone. But inside, the emptiness eats away at both the mind and the body. I once heard about a man named Harold, an 82-year-old widower who had lived alone for nearly a decade. At first, he kept himself busy with gardening and reading. But as the years went by, he slowly withdrew. Friends passed away, neighbors moved, and his phone rarely rang. His doctor noticed he was losing weight, his blood pressure had spiked, and his memory wasn't as sharp as before. The real culprit wasn't just age, it was isolation. Once Harold joined a local community walking group, everything began to change. His health improved, he laughed more, and even his doctor was amazed at the difference. What changed wasn't his age, it was his connection. So the question is, what can we do about it? How can someone living alone fight back against this silent enemy? The good news is, small steps can make a huge difference. First, make connection a priority, not an afterthought. Call a friend, schedule regular chats with family, or even join a group that meets weekly. A 10-minute phone call might not seem like much, but it can lift the heart in powerful ways. Second, get involved in activities that bring joy and interaction. Whether it's a book club, a fitness class, or even volunteering, being around others adds both purpose and companionship. And third, don't underestimate the little things. Say hello to your neighbors, strike up a conversation at the grocery store, or smile at the person walking by. Human connection doesn't always require big commitments. Sometimes it starts with simple gestures. Now, let me ask you, isn't it worth making those small efforts if they can add years to your life and life to your years? Isn't staying connected just as important as taking your medicine or eating healthy? When you think of it this way, reaching out isn't just social, it's survival. Loneliness may be powerful, but it's not unbeatable. Every call, every handshake, every shared laugh chips away at its hold. And here's the truth. You don't have to wait for someone else to reach out first. You have the power to break the silence, to take that first step, and to remind yourself that you are never truly alone in this world. The cure for loneliness doesn't always come in a bottle or a prescription. It comes in connection. And when you choose connection, you choose life, energy, and hope. There's a special kind of pride that comes from being able to say, I can still take care of myself. Independence is something we all treasure, especially as we grow older. It represents freedom, dignity, and the ability to live life on our own terms. But here's the truth. Independence, as powerful as it is, only matters when it's safe. What good is freedom if one accident, one misstep, can suddenly take it all away? That's why doctors, families, and caregivers all emphasize one message. Your safety must always come first. Think about this. Most seniors want to remain in their own homes, surrounded by their memories, routines, and comforts. And that is absolutely beautiful. But what often gets overlooked are the little risks that pile up over time. The loose rug in the hallway, the cluttered staircase, the forgotten medication. These may seem small, but for someone living alone, they can be life-changing. A fall in the bathroom isn't just a stumble. It can mean a hospital stay, a long recovery, or even losing the ability to live independently at all. Let me share a story. There was a woman named Margaret, 76 years old, who prided herself on being strong and capable. She lived alone and insisted she didn't need anyone's help. One evening, she slipped in her kitchen and fractured her hip. Suddenly, her cherished independence was gone overnight. It took months of therapy, and even after recovering, she needed more assistance than before. Margaret later said, "If I had just made a few changes at home, I might have avoided all this." Her words serve as a powerful reminder that protecting your independence means planning for safety. So, what can be done to safeguard independence without feeling like you're giving it up? First, make your home your ally, not your enemy. Clear walkways, secure rugs, and ensure there's good lighting, especially in places like staircases or bathrooms. A safe environment means fewer accidents waiting to happen. Second, consider using simple technology. Things like medical alert systems, reminder apps for medications, or even smart home devices that can make daily living easier and safer. These aren't signs of weakness. They're tools of empowerment. And third, don't underestimate the value of regular check-ins. A quick daily call with a friend or family member isn't just about companionship. It's a safety net that ensures someone knows you're okay. Now, ask yourself this: does taking a few precautions really take away your independence, or does it actually protect it for the long run? True freedom isn't about rejecting help or ignoring risks. It's about being wise enough to prepare for them. By making your safety a priority, you're not losing control. You're strengthening it. The beauty of independence is that it allows you to keep writing your own story, to live life on your own terms. But like any good story, it needs a strong foundation. And that foundation is safety. The stronger it is, the longer and richer the story becomes. So embrace your independence, hold it close, but never forget to guard it with the small steps that keep you safe. Because independence is not about walking alone. It's about walking wisely, with the confidence that you can keep living fully, securely, and powerfully for years to come. Have you ever noticed how alive someone looks when they're learning something new? Their eyes light up, their energy shifts, and it's as if their whole being has woken up. That's the power of mental stimulation. It doesn't just keep the brain active, it keeps the spirit young. Aging may slow down the body, but the mind is different. With the right stimulation, it can stay sharp, creative, and curious at any age. Doctors often say that mental activity is like exercise for the brain, and just like muscles, if you don't use it, you lose it. The truth is, the brain thrives on challenge. When you give it puzzles to solve, books to read, or conversations to engage in, it builds new connections. That's why seniors who stay mentally active often seem more vibrant, alert, and hopeful. On the other hand, when the mind is left idle, it begins to dull, much like a blade that's never sharpened. And here's the inspiring part: it's never too late to start. The brain has a remarkable ability to adapt, grow, and strengthen even in later years. Take the story of Robert, a 79-year-old retired engineer. After retirement, he found himself slipping into routines that left his days quiet and repetitive. Television filled the hours, but he noticed his memory wasn't as sharp, and his energy felt flat. Then one day, his granddaughter introduced him to online language lessons. At first, he laughed at the idea of learning Spanish at his age, but within weeks, he was hooked. His confidence grew, his conversations became livelier, and he even began teaching his friends a few phrases. His doctor noticed improvements not just in his mood, but in his overall cognitive health. What changed for Robert wasn't time, it was stimulation. So how can you bring that kind of energy into your own life? Start with small, doable steps. First, challenge your mind daily. Read a chapter of a book, solve a crossword, or try a new recipe. These little mental workouts build resilience over time. Second, learn something new. Whether it's a musical instrument, a new technology, or even a foreign language, the process of learning keeps the brain flexible and engaged. And third, engage in meaningful conversations. Talking to others, sharing ideas, and listening to different perspectives keeps your mind active in ways that solo activities cannot. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you truly challenged your mind? Not just by doing something familiar, but by stepping into something that stretched your comfort zone. Isn't it exciting to think that every new skill, every new idea, is like fuel for your brain's energy? Mental stimulation isn't about keeping busy for the sake of it. It's about staying curious, engaged, and alive inside. It's about waking up each morning with something to look forward to, something that gives you purpose and keeps your mind buzzing. The best part is, it doesn't matter how old you are. The brain is always ready to grow if you give it the chance. So, if you want to keep your brain young, feed it. Feed it with curiosity, with challenges, with conversations and learning. Because the mind doesn't age the way the body does. It ages when it's neglected. But when it's cared for, exercised, and nourished, it stays sharp, strong, and full of life. Choose today to keep your brain alive, and it will reward you with clarity, creativity, and joy for years to come. Have you ever held something heavy in your hands, determined to carry it on your own, only to realize that the moment you asked someone for help, the burden suddenly felt lighter? Life works the same way. For many seniors, the hardest words to say are, "I need help." Somewhere along the way, asking for support became associated with weakness, dependency, or being a burden. But doctors and caregivers will tell you the opposite. Asking for help is one of the strongest, wisest, and bravest things a person can do. Think about it. Strength isn't just about enduring silently or pushing through difficulties alone. Real strength is about recognizing limits and choosing not to let pride put health, safety, or happiness at risk. Yet, so many people, especially seniors, hide their struggles. They avoid calling their children because they don't want to bother them. Or they downplay their challenges in front of friends. But what if we flip the perspective? What if asking for help wasn't about taking something away from others, but about giving them the chance to love, to contribute, and to show up for someone they care about? Take the story of Linda, a 74-year-old grandmother. After her husband passed away, she insisted she could manage everything on her own. She didn't want her family to worry, so she stayed quiet about her difficulties. But one day, she slipped on her front steps and couldn't get up. Hours passed before a neighbor found her. That moment changed her outlook completely. Later, she admitted, "I thought I was sparing my family by keeping quiet, but I realized I was actually shutting them out." Once she allowed her daughter to help with grocery runs and asked a friend to walk with her in the evenings. Her life became fuller, not smaller. So how can we reframe asking for help as a form of strength? First, remember that help is not a handout, it's a hand up. Everyone needs support at some point, and allowing others to help you creates stronger bonds. Second, start small. You don't have to begin with big requests. Try asking a neighbor to bring in the mail or a friend to join you at an appointment. These little steps build comfort and make asking feel natural. Third, remind yourself that independence and interdependence can exist side by side. Relying on others for certain things doesn't erase your independence. It extends it. Isn't it better to accept a little help now than to risk losing your freedom entirely because of an avoidable accident or mistake? Now let me ask you, who really carries more strength? The person who pretends to be fine while struggling in silence, or the person who bravely raises their hand and says, "I could use some support"? True courage is found in vulnerability, in choosing honesty over pride. When you ask for help, you're not only protecting your own health and happiness, you're also giving others the chance to feel valued and needed. Families and friends often want to help. They just don't always know how. By speaking up, you open the door for deeper connection and mutual care. So if you've been holding back, believing that asking for help makes you weaker, let today be the moment you shift that mindset. Strength is not about carrying everything alone. Strength is about knowing when to share the weight, and when you do, life becomes lighter, safer, and far more joyful. Remember, asking for help is not a defeat. It's a victory for courage, wisdom, and love. So what do doctors really think about seniors living alone? They admire your independence. They worry about your safety. They encourage your mind to stay alive. And they remind you that asking for help is strength, not weakness. If you're a senior living alone today, remember this: your best years are not behind you. They are right here, waiting to be lived fully. You are stronger than you know, more valued than you realize, and more capable than you sometimes believe. Don't just live alone, live boldly, live safely, and live with purpose, because your story is far from over. It's still being written, one powerful day at a time. Thank you.